How can a simple, heartbreaking story unlock an entire philosophical universe? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're diving into one of Rabindranath Tagore's most haunting tales to uncover his profound vision of where we find the sacred in our lives.
The story we're exploring is The Postmaster, and it really boils down to this simple, powerful premise. It's about a connection that offered a glimpse of something eternal, and the absolute tragedy of what happens when that glimpse is missed. Okay, let's dive in.
So, first things first, let's just get into the story itself. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, but man, it is packed with this incredible emotional and philosophical depth that really stays with you. So, picture this. You've got a classic fish-out-of-water scenario. A postmaster, educated in the big, bustling city of Calcutta, finds himself stuck in a tiny, remote Bengali village. He feels totally isolated. He's miserable. And his only real human contact is with Ratan, a young orphan girl who helps him out with his chores. They're just two lonely souls in a quiet, forgotten place. Now, to pass the long, boring hours, he starts teaching her the alphabet. But for Ratan, you have to understand, these simple lessons, they become everything. She pours all of her affection, all of her hope into this one person, basically creating a family in her mind where none existed. Her attachment to him becomes selfless, absolute, and just so deeply devoted. And here is the critical moment in the story. The postmaster finally gets his transfer back to the city. He's out of there. And he sees their bond as, a temporary arrangement. So he offers Ratan some money for her help. But Ratan doesn't want a transaction. She wants connection. She wants to belong. She asks if she can go with him. And he just says no. The postmaster leaves. He convinces himself with all this philosophy and reason that, emotional attachments are just fleeting illusions. She'll forget him, she'll move on. But she doesn't. The story closes on this absolutely devastating image of Ratan wandering aimlessly around the post office, just trapped in this endless loop of grief and hopeless waiting. It's a gut punch of an ending, right? But why does it stick with us so much? The tragedy here isn't just emotional, it's metaphysical. There's something deeper going on. And to really get it, we need to unlock the philosophical worldview that powers all of Tagore's work.
So let's explore 3 core ideas from Tagore's philosophy. Think of these as a special set of keys. Once we have them, the whole story is about to snap into crystal clear focus.
Okay, key number 1, and this is a real game changer. For Tagore, the path to the divine, to the infinite, isn't about escaping the world. Nope. It's about diving deeper into it. He believed the eternal reveals itself not in some grand temple or some abstract idea, but in the most ordinary, fleeting, finite experiences of our daily life. And Tagore puts this so beautifully: the journey to find your own soul, to touch the infinite, requires you to knock on what he calls the alien doors of worldly life. There's no other path. You have to go through the world to get there. The second key is this idea of divine immanence, which Tagore had a beautiful name for, Jivan Devata, or the Lord of my life. This is the idea that God isn't some distant king on a throne, but an intimate presence that chooses to live and breathe in the most humble, the most overlooked parts of creation. I mean, this quote just gets right to the heart of it. The sacred isn't found by looking up at the heavens, but by looking down to the people and places the world so often forgets. The divine is right here, among the poorest and lowest and lost. And finally, the third key, maybe the most important one. For Tagore, love isn't just an emotion, it's a metaphysical force. It's the energy that allows an individual's soul to pierce through the illusion of being separate and to actually experience its fundamental unity with the entire cosmos. It is the ultimate bridge to reality itself. Okay, so we've got our 3 keys. The infinite is found in the finite, the divine is in the most humble places, and love is the force that connects everything. Now, let's use them to unlock a completely new understanding of our story. So let's connect the dots here. That fleeting bond between them, that was a finite moment offering a doorway to the infinite. Ratan herself, in Tagore's world, she is the divine in the lowliest, an overlooked orphan girl who is the actual vessel of this sacred unifying love. And the postmaster's rationalizations, his philosophy, that's his illusion of separateness, his total emotional blindness to what their connection truly represented. And Ratan's hopeless waiting at the end, that symbolizes the soul's ache for a unity it has tasted and then lost. The critical point is this:
Rattan feels this metaphysical truth in her bones, while the educated postmaster literally thinks it away.
And when you zoom out, you see that the postmaster isn't just a sad story. It's a perfect parable for Tagore's entire worldview.
We can really call his philosophy the metaphysics of perceptive love. The idea is simple, but it is so radical. All of reality is one single conscious thing. And the only way to truly experience this unity is through loving engagement with the world, not by thinking your way to it.
So Tagore is basically laying out two ways to see the world. The problem he calls avidya, or ignorance. It's a self-centered, transactional view of life. That's the postmaster's worldview. The solution is prem, or love, a receptive, open-hearted engagement that lets you see the unity behind everything. That is Rattan's worldview.
And if you want the one quote that just sums it all up, the emotional climax of his entire vision, it has to be this one. This isn't just pretty poetry for Tagore. This is a statement of fact. The very same life force that animates you and me is what's dancing in the trees and flowing in the rivers. There is no separation.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, this is a grand vision, but how do we actually apply it to our own lives?
And what's so important to understand is that Tagore's philosophy is not about escaping the messiness of life. He's not telling us to go meditate on a mountaintop. It's about finding joy and realization right here, right in the middle of it all, in our relationships, in our work, and in our connection to the world around us.
And this is why his work feels so alive. Metaphysics for him wasn't some boring intellectual game. It was a daily practice, a practice of paying attention, of cultivating a sense of attentive wonder at the incredible, interconnected reality we all find ourselves in.
Ultimately, the real tragedy of the postmaster is that the divine knocked on his door in the form of a lonely orphan girl, and his mind was too full of ideas and philosophy to open it. The sacred is always here, always present, just waiting for us to notice, waiting for a heart that is awake to connection.
Which really just leaves us with a final thought to ponder. If the infinite truly dwells in the finite, then where, in the ordinary, maybe even overlooked corners of your own life, is a sacred connection just waiting to be seen?